Hello and welcome to the first video on my YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to cover removing extra hair from a BFC Ink doll head, because you've probably found with these dolls that their hair is not the best quality, so you might want to put a wig on them or something. And of course this extra tufty hair that's left behind after you trim it can be okay for holding a wig on, but you know, if that wig pops off, then you still have this kind of unsightly little scrunchy hair here. So in this video we're going to cover removing it and cleaning this all up, and this is going to be the first in a series of videos in which I restring this doll. As some of you know, BFC Ink initially released their line with string. I unthinkingly went and took this doll apart before completely researching how everything went together. So luckily I have another one that shows the strings and the little plates and things inside. So probably in the next video I'm going to cover the actual restringing of the doll, as well as tools I've picked up in order to do so. But in this video we're just going to stick with removing the hair. So for removing this extra doll hair on a doll head, you're going to need some forceps. It doesn't matter if they're the straight kind, like these here, or if they're the curved kind, they both work just fine. And you're going to need your household hair dryer. I'm going to start out on this using the low setting on mine. If that's not hot enough, and you'll know when you go to try to pull it out because it won't work easily, you can turn it up and make it hotter. So I'm going to set this one to hot. I'm going to turn it on low. And we are going to get this doll head hot. Now, I think that this is probably, as you can see, I can squish her head now. These are, this vinyl is pretty hard when it's cool. So while you're doing this, you're probably going to have to reheat the doll's head several times. But as you can see, now I can pull out some of these hair plugs, usually 1 or 2 at a time. It's a pretty slow process. So while you're doing this, it can make your hands pretty sore, so don't feel bad if it takes you several days to get through doing this. The first time I removed the hair from one of these heads, I think it did take me 3 days. It was like a full weekend, and I can only do it for about maybe 2 hours at a go before I get like lines from the forceps on my fingers, and it starts to like create blisters, so it's tricky. And of course I'm talking, so doing 2 things at once ends up going a little bit slower. But yeah, so you with a head warm like this, you can get these plugs out. And if you're really struggling with the plugs, let's see if I can get this up here. You'll notice that the hair, when it was originally rooted on the doll's head, went in at a slight angle. So if you go opposite that angle, it'll be a little easier to get the hair plugs out one at a time. As you see, I've gotten this row here, but I'm probably going to need to heat this up again, so we'll do that. Also, when you saw me warming up this doll's head originally, you probably saw that I had the hairdryer angled to go in through this neck hole here. I did that to warm up the inside of the doll's head, and then I aimed it at the spot on the head where I was going to be removing the hair plugs. So that warms it up from the back and then from the area that you want to focus on first. So it's possible throughout this that you may also want to reheat from here as well. And you'll probably notice too, I have a towel down here because getting out all these little extra hair plugs, it's messy, and then the hairdryer will blow them around too. It's possible to do this by heating up a pot of water and soaking the doll's head in the pot of water, but of course then you're working with water and you don't want to get water near a hairdryer, so you have to choose one or the other. I find the hairdryer easier just because I'm sitting here and I don't want to be constantly going back and forth with a pot of water in order to accomplish this. I have done it that way. That was the way I did it the first time, and of course the boiling water also, it can splash you and things, and it's pretty painful and annoying, whereas the hairdryer, it actually feels kind of good. This is a very long process. It takes quite a bit of patience to do. So we're going to speed up the video for this part, so you'll just see me kind of working on this for a while. And then when we're done, we will resume with the finished product of the removed hair. Okay, so I've gotten most of the hair off of the head. I'll hold it up here so you can see it's all clear all the way around. There's just the part line remaining. Usually when this is being done while the doll is being manufactured, it's a machine with, like, they set the doll head kind of down on top of one part of a machine, and then someone rotates the head, and there's a thing that goes very, very fast, and it roots the hair all over the head, and they rotate the head around. It's a very, very skilled thing to do, I imagine, because it looks like something that would probably turn my fingers into a bloody mess if I tried to do it. So luckily, this is something that you can do at home at a much slower pace. But when you're removing the doll's hair, the hardest hair to remove is going to be on the outer edge all the way around the doll's head, and especially around their ears, I've found is the difficult place to get it out. And I'm saving this part here for last because it too is a little tricky. Because they go over it about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times here, it's quite dense. So when you're removing it, of course, you got to get it good and hot. So I'm going to do that first. Okay, so when you're removing this part here, it's quite difficult to pull it from the top, unlike around here, except for the outer edge. That's pretty difficult to pull. So I found that I get pretty good luck if I go from inside the doll's neck, and if you move the forceps around, you can usually kind of feel with the forceps where it is, and then pull out a plug of hair like that. And as you can see, it actually does pull out a pretty significant amount of hair each time. So you just kind of have to keep doing that until you're able to clear out this part. And of course, while you're doing it, because you can't see inside there, you just have to go by feel, and occasionally you're going to miss and not really get any hair. Don't worry, just keep trying, you'll get it. As you can see there, a chunk of hair. Also, throughout this process, you do want to keep the head pretty warm, so it's a little squishy. You can get it even warmer than that. I've found just in doing this that I did not get the head at any point so hot that I couldn't comfortably touch it, which is different from when you're using boiling water. So I definitely prefer this method after previously doing the boiling water method, because that got water everywhere. And sometimes it did get the head like so hot that it hurt to touch it with your fingers, but this has not done that. So you should get pretty good mileage out of a hairdryer. And also, as you're going around and pulling out the plugs one by one on the doll's head, if you start to meet resistance or it's just getting harder and you hear the hair like just ripping and not getting the plug out, that probably just means that you need to reheat the head. It's cooled enough that it's not malleable for the hair to come out. So just give it a reheat and then continue on, and it'll save you some frustration. Alright, she now is clean of hair. I ended up doing a mix of pulling it from inside like this and also pulling it from the top. I found that while I was pulling from here, I was able to do maybe back to about here, and then my tools couldn't quite reach it as well, so I had to pull it from the top. However, after sitting her head and then just using the hair dryer to get it like the last little patch of hair that was there, I just let it get like really quite hot, so it actually got to where it was almost a little too hot for my fingers. But the rest of the hair came out super easily. It was just like, you know, done. So that was great. And she is now all ready for me to give her a new wig. I'm thinking that when I do so, I'm probably going to attach it with, I'm getting her probably a dark brown or a black wig. And I'm going to sew like a little knot with a long needle and tie it there, and then maybe like the top peak of her forehead here on the other side, and at the back so that it's on like rooted hair, but it's still a wig. And she'll have a whole new look. I'm also going to give her eyelashes. And hopefully next weekend, the string that I ordered will be here. I'm thinking it might come around the middle of the week. I ordered it from Dalmore, I believe, so it's coming from South Korea, so it'll be a little while. And then I'm going to heat up these, and take out these parts, and restring her with new strings, so she will be essentially a whole customized, refurbished doll. So I hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this video. I imagine that there's going to be at least a part 2, possibly 3 parts, but maybe just 2. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So hopefully I'll see you again next weekend.